Hello, and welcome to ohmTown here on Twitch. The site is continuing to ingest all of the information that it's designed to, working kind of smoothly. Welcome to chat. Thanks for coming. I'll give you a really quick rundown of how all this works, like I have been doing for the last 45 days or so since I started doing this. ohmTown, which is that site over there, was built by me to aggregate about 200 plus news sources. I add more to it and take stuff away. It filters all of this into 6 categories: create, news, education, entertainment, social, and technology. And from there, it has little subgroups, which we call channels. Each one of these will eventually be a channel here on Twitch under the ohmTown umbrella. And I'm actually looking for hosts and co-hosts. And if you're a co-host, you'll be up there above me. And we chat about the news. I don't prep, except for grabbing about 20 headlines a day. Throughout the day, I grab one that sounds interesting to me, and I think others might be interested in as well. So I got a statement in here in my chat from Rex Arcade. I'm looking at your loadout, as I am also a gearhead. Welcome. Great minds, right? You got to have the gear, otherwise. Actually, you can succeed with pretty trash gear, by the way. It's all about engagement. A lot of people, me included, I've bought a lot of gear here. Okay. I won't be shy about it. It's not the best. It is a Go XLR. I've actually switched around things periodically. Gotten rid of mixers, added new ones. The Go XLR is kind of a perfect fit for me. Yeah. Yep. But like photography, it's really skill of the person behind the lens. It only gets better with better glass. And so I'm starting out with a somewhat good kit, but that doesn't mean my stream is good. It could be trash. It's up to you to decide, really. But I'm going to go through all of this with you. And if you find it interesting, then hang around, stick around, ask questions. Go over to ohmTown, become a citizen of ohmTown, find things that you're interested in, and then come back and chat with me the next day, which is going to be tomorrow. Same time, same channel. ohmTown here on Twitch, 6 p.m. to 7. Sometimes I run long. It really depends on how much engagement I have here in chat. Some of your favorite streamers have DIY or budget setups. Yep. And I actually have... There is a section here. You know what? I've forgotten where I've placed it. Stream Stars. There you go. That right there is a channel that I want to launch. And it focuses on people who haven't even, who have barely got their foot in the door. 0 people in chat, 1 person in chat. Basically me, just starting out. I started out on the first of this year, formally doing it every day. And I hope to expand it to more hours, but it'll happen. Let's see here. Masters can do the same work with the same tools by an apprentice. Yep. In business, a lot of people have this mantra that you never assign anything you're not willing to do yourself. I've had many a boss that has never done what I ended up doing. And I've asked, did you do this when you started? And they're like, no, I didn't start out where you're starting out. So yeah, it's not always the case, but never assign anything you're not willing to do yourself. So what I do is I go through about these 20 articles and we end up talking about it a little bit. It's more about drawing attention to the information. And then I encourage you to follow the link that I place in chat and talk about it on ohmTown.com. I post it eventually over to YouTube. I post it eventually into Apple Podcasts. And I'm supposed to tweet it out, but I did not do that. I should go do that right now, right? Let me do that right now. This is really good for the show. Yeah, that's probably not the best, but I did it anyway. So let's get on with this show. I hope that you enjoy it. It is always an eclectic mess. Some might call it a nightmare of news because it doesn't follow a particular flow, and neither do I. I follow this kind of thought process where it's associated one thing to another, but you have to find that association at times. In this case, we're going to start out with a cheerleader lawsuit. And I just kind of give a little bit of context to it. Not necessarily this particular thing, but I give the fact that there might be other things that have happened in the past, right? So Cowboys pay 4 cheerleaders $2.4 million settlement after a voyeurism allegation. And the little snippet that my aggregator grabs is the Dallas Cowboys paid a settlement of $2.4 million after 4 members of its cheerleading squad accused former team senior executive Richard Dalrymple of voyeurism. Click the link and you go over to the website it was sourced from, and that's The Hill. And I'm never pronouncing this person's name properly, I think. Olafimian Ocean. There you go. And everybody's taking a knee. I think it's because $2.4 million just exited the coffers. That's right. Settlement meaning through the use of bribery, no one will be held accountable for their actions. This is kind of an interesting thing because I've actually seen this firsthand, not this particular instance, but I've seen something similar in retail. And so it happens at every level, from the simplest retail position to a multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar capitalized, institution where somebody can do something and they have maybe sociopathic tendencies, or they just don't know when to stop because their moral compass is broken. And I'm not even going to virtue signal anything. I'm just saying you don't spy on people. You just don't. But when you do, I guess you go big. So when I witnessed it, what ended up happening was that person was arrested and put in jail because they had recording after recording after recording of people, waitresses changing in the restaurant's break rooms or changing room. They had a room that was set up for it. And when I found out about it, I was just blown away because you'd never suspect that this particular person would have done it. But my saying, which others have said elsewhere, abuse happens in the dark. So when somebody shines that light, shine it bright, because you shouldn't quietly deal with these things because somebody is causing some great harm, and it shouldn't be just this, blow that whistle loud. So in this particular instance, shelling out some money. And I'm sure that it goes into greater detail about what might happen, right? In a statement, Dalrymple, who recently retired from his position a month early. Wow. Just this month. That's interesting. That's really interesting. It's so you settled. Now I've seen this happen before too. Legally, people will pay whatever the settlement is with usually some type of means of quashing any discussion, right? Like you're not allowed to talk about the settlement and what the value is and who, blah, 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 blah. Well, he retired. But if you have the evidence, I just don't understand why it should become a battle. But I understand why it actually becomes a battle, and that's because of money. The victims don't have a ton of money. And to challenge an institution means that you are going to butt up against wealth, the likes of which that these cheerleaders have never seen and may never get in their life. This 2.4 million is nothing, right? That's how much it was, right? 2.4 million to 4 people. It's nothing to the Cowboys, but it's everything to them, right? That's a lot of money. Well, you bow out. There's the rules, right? You bow out. So you retire and you deny, and you basically on the back end say, if you push this, we're going to end up in court for 20 years and you're not going to be able to enjoy the $20 million that you eventually get. But I will have made that $20 million on my investments. So good luck with that. And that's kind of how it is. And again, just to reiterate, I talk about the news and I kind of merge 3 main core things together: business, technology, and society. And they are all intimately tied together. You really can't have one without the other. And you can't pick two. You can't pick society and technology because business is what made the tech. You know, it might be a person, but a person with a single hammer is just a person with a single hammer. But when everybody has a hammer, you can build a whole lot of stuff. So I kind of keep this tied together with those 3 core concepts in mind: business, technology, and society. Yes, business bought all of the hammers and sold them to government for $500 each. There's actually a story behind that claim, but let me keep on hustling through this news and see if we can find something even more interesting. Chicago man pleads guilty to inciting 2020 rioting with online posts. And if you've never heard of trolling, this is pretty much the ultimate troll. Chicago man on Tuesday pleaded guilty to inciting and participating in a riot after he made an online post encouraging crowds to loot downtown businesses in summer of 2020. So let me copy this and throw it in chat, and you can go check it out over on ohmTown. And if you're watching this on YouTube, it'll be in the description. If you're listening to this via the podcast, it'll be in the description in the podcast, all of these links. There might be some kind of quiet dead air when I'm doing a copy and paste of the link, but I don't even edit this. I want you to get the full-on flavor of how this is made. This is the sausage. Chicago man on Tuesday pleaded guilty. And I always say who it's coming from. So this is a news bit from The Hill, and Monique Beals is the author. And it says a Chicago man on Tuesday pleaded guilty to inciting and participating in riot after he made an online post. So nearly a year after his initial charging, 23-year-old James Massey pleaded guilty in federal court. So why do people do this? Why do you think that somebody comes up with the idea and says, you know what I want to do? I want to incite a riot. So he's going to end up 5 years in prison. If you're going to commit a crime, please document it. That's what law enforcement really loves. Bring cameras, bring your friends, log into your Facebook account. Pretty much just, if you're going to do this, be a documentarian about it. And you know what? Shine bright in that moment. But I would urge you, better yet, just don't do it. Why? Why do something like this? It hurts your community, and it's ultimately going to hurt you. So just don't do it, right? It says, "Bring your tools, ski masks, and gloves," he said in a post. "I ain't missing out. I am ready to steal." And apparently he did and got caught. Great. Now you're going to have to learn a lesson and change your life. And if you're going to be in prison, that is really not the way that people change their lives. American prisons, I can't speak about others, but I can speak about American prisons. They don't really motivate you to change your ways unless you have a pretty posh place that treats you well. You're given horrible food, horrible living conditions. The people that are around you aren't necessarily priming to be a better citizen. They're surviving inside jail where there are other people that want to, beat the crap out of you. So you don't come out going, "I am refreshed and I understand my ways of woe. I will not be like that anymore." Yes, many might come out like that. They understand, they've changed their ways. But inside, it's survival. And I never want to go there. That right there is probably the worst thing that could happen to me, going to jail. But let's keep on going through these. I don't want to get stuck in this one rut of negative news. Let's see, is there going to be any positive news that I've clicked on throughout the day? This next article is housed in the Continuity Report channel, which talks about movies. Spotify buys podcast analytics firm Podsights and Chartable. Spotify, aiming to juice sales of its podcasting ad biz, has acquired two companies in the space: Podsights, a podcast advertising measurement service, and Chartable, a podcast analytics platform for publishers. So they don't discuss the finances apparently, but I'll post this link. And yeah, some people just do want to watch the world burn. By the way, that's one of the elements that I talk about in this, and that's sociopathic behavior. There are people that are part of society that they want to take from society, but they don't want to give back. They don't necessarily want to be around people, but they will be with people to benefit from the society. But when times get tough, they disappear. They won't help a fellow member unless they see a value to it. So the article is written by Todd Spangler over on variety.com. So click the link, go over there, check it out. All of the links that lead to ohmTown that's in my chat and on the other platforms goes to ohmTown, but at the bottom of that little snippet is always going to be a visit the source link. And then you can come on back. Let's see. Sociopathic behavior and how it is encouraged and nurtured in Western media is something people are afraid to talk about. Not me. That's kind of one of the areas of focus for me. I really do need to do a more focused, I will eventually do a more focused episode on what I did to predict what the outcome of the election was going to be. And I picked it properly. I missed only 3 out of the 50 states as to which president was going to be overall selected. But my data comes down all the way from one metric at the county level, all the way down to one metric. And I'll have to end up talking about it in greater length. And I agree, it does need to get discussed. So Spotify right now, if you haven't heard about it, they've been in some turmoil because of Joe Rogan and others who are kind of fighting over what's amounting to be the dying vestiges of the COVID issue. And so now buying a couple of analytics and advertising solutions is kind of like a great distraction. Oh, Spotify is not being hit by anything. Don't even worry about it. It's not a big deal. So, and this article, of course, ends up talking about it. See, one of the things that I don't do is prep for this. I actually consume the news with you, and we both deal with what we read at almost the exact same time. There's a little bit of lag, but of course, they talk about Joe Rogan, who's basically getting blasted because of some really stupid things that I think he said. I think that he has said some really stupid things involving race and the COVID-19 pandemic, as if it's not a real thing. But we're coming out of it. We're on the other side, I think, of the pandemic. So now I'm waiting for people to say, well, look at that. Suddenly it's gone. Yeah, nearly 30 months later, it's gone. So the next article is in the Word and Tech channel. Again, this will eventually be its own independent 1 hour show, at least 1 hour show. But when I saw this, and I didn't mean to say that the way it sounds, because this is about eye implants that might help people see. So this is an article about 350 blind people around the world that have implants made by a company called Second Sight Medical Products. So click the link. I got to post it in my chat. And this is going to blow you away because I only saw this one little snippet, and you might think, oh, it's an article about a book or something, right? Dystopian story. Now, see, I knew about Second Sight. The company making the implants stopped supporting the tech. And in one of my previous episodes, I basically spoke about this because I'm very interested in cybernetics. The cyberpunk type of cybernetics, right? I want meat and machine connected and not like, I have leg pain. I want to be able to voluntarily have my leg removed and a cybernetic limb attached, right? Then I can run forever. Well, I have seen implants where they never heal. And then they get abandoned because technology evolves. And what I tell my customers, what I tell the people around me that I speak to every day, essentially anything that is 6 months old is obsolete in the tech world. You might as well just start looking for a better solution because it's out there. Yes, it's consumerism. Yes, it's it's somewhat wasteful, but you can hand the tech down to somebody else, right? Give it to somebody else. Donate it to a good cause, whatever. Well, this article is over on The Verge. It's written by Nicole Wetzman. And there's a picture on it of a woman who is wearing glasses. And I believe that she's a patient using, she's a patient using the Argus 2, which is an artificial eye. Well, they stopped supporting it. And because of that, the tech isn't going to work anymore. And so they're basically left to the four winds. Who knows? In 2019, the company said it was planning to phase out its retinal implant technology. So now it's not even being supported. I have a laser called a Glowforge, and I'm not equating the two together, okay? But I'm just going to give you some context here. I'll be a little bent out of shape if Glowforge goes under because all of their processing is off-put somewhere else. It's sent out to the web. Their systems process it, send it back, and give control processes to the laser, right? Where it's going to cut intensity and things like that. I would get bent out of shape if Glowforge failed. But I know that there's somebody out there that, or me, I can build a Raspberry Pi and throw some software on there. I think it's called Lightforge, and I could probably get it back to working, right? But this is somebody's eye in their head, electronics, slowly going decades old and zero support. So yes, I agree. Rex Arcade said tech needs sustainability practices. Yeah, the only thing that's really unfortunate about tech is that it can fundamentally change, right? So you go from Lightning connector to USB-C. USB-C has legs, right? Lightning had legs for a considerable amount of time, but somebody came up with another way to drip some tech out that gave more function, more feature, more power, more everything. And hence the world evolves and goes past it. And that's what's going on here. Unfortunately, they need a fund that if they do go under, these people can seek some type of solution to be made whole again, functional again. Because if my eye turns off because the servers get turned off, we've got a problem. Well, I should say I'm the one with the problem. But it is a truly dystopian story about a patient whose bionic eyes went obsolete. This next article is GM will resume Chevy Bolt production in April, and it's in the Word and Tech channel. And let me post that link. Yep, that, to assist with the change of hardware, software upgrades, and updates. Yep. The real problem is when it starts to fail, the company is gone. What they need is a long-term solution. Let me click this link and I'll tell you another little story. See, it's about context, right? A lot of things and concepts are interconnected, but so I used to have a friend who had, what do they call them? It's not an owl. My goodness. It's a bird. Lives an extremely long time, and I can't remember what it's called, a gray something. But he actually started up a fund because the bird would outlive him. And so he knew that he had the responsibility to basically have a quality of life for this bird. And so that fund, when he gave it to the bird to somebody else because he could no longer take care of it, that fund went with it, designated specifically to take care of that bird. That's responsibility. And that's about a bird that if you give it to somebody else, that responsibility is that new person's responsibility, not the older person, older owner, right? But he was responsible enough to make that fund. These guys may or may not have a fund at all. It wasn't mentioned in the article that I saw, but that's true responsibility. That's caring for your customers beyond just, the line item in your accounting. And that's what I would appreciate. These people not being abandoned. So, this article here is over on The Verge. GM will resume Chevy Bolt production in April. And it comes after the recall linked to battery fires. There was another one recently where some electric vehicles were being recalled, and I think it was Kia. Yeah, I think it was a Kia vehicle that was an EV. And this article, by the way, is written by Emma Roth. They told the owners of these electric vehicles, don't park your car in the garage. Just park it away from anything that's going to catch a fire. Don't park it. I can just see them like walking up to each individual owner's house and saying it really quietly. Don't park it in your garage. Don't tell the neighbors that your car might explode either. Just a little bit of warning here. So GM will resume production at its Orion Township, Michigan plant the week of April 4th, 2022. Well, that's awesome. We need some more domestic production. We need more domestic manufacturing. That would be even better. Some companies are starting to pull back their chip manufacturing back into the United States. Maybe some more external revenue can come into the States, change this dynamic about inflation, maybe create some more jobs, maybe pay them more. That actually will be foreshadowing from an article that's coming up. Yeah, and Toyota and Mazda have a lot of manufacturing here in the States. Yeah, there's a few in Texas. So let's go on to this next one. I kind of like the Chevy Bolt tiny car, but I like electric vehicles. I don't own one only because I still don't think that they're ready for prime time, but it's a very niche reason why, which is you can't swap out the batteries fast enough to keep up with filling up a gas powered vehicle. It takes me 5 minutes to fill up my car, but it takes 30 minutes plus to charge my car if I'm at a supercharger. If I'm at a regular charger, it will take a week. A bit hyperbolic, but it does take longer than filling up a gas car. But I would rather have an electric vehicle. So this next article is in the continuity report. Spotter says it has $1 billion war chest. Okay, that's $1 billion with a B to buy YouTube creators' video catalogs after major funding round. You know, sometimes you just wonder if you have been playing your cards the wrong way. But this might be a truly visionary organization. Spotter, a 2-year-old startup that acquires rights to the video catalogs of YouTubers, announced $200 million in new funding led by Japan's SoftBank. Spotter said that it gives the valuation of $1.7 billion and will let the company invest $1 billion with YouTube creators. So there you go. Give me $1 billion and I will do this every day. And if you play all of the videos mashed down over the next 30 years, you might actually watch me age and drop dead here at my desk. What do you think of that? Talk about live streaming for $1 billion. Yeah, I'd probably do it. So let's click this link. Yeah, really. Who wouldn't, right? No, I don't know. As long as I could do it for a certain amount of time, then $1 billion would pay for it. But you never get to leave. It's kind of, then you're back in the 9-to-5 grind, right? You can't enjoy those YouTube billions. Startup says SoftBank $200 million Series D investment gives it a $1.7 billion valuation. This is an article over on Variety from Todd Spangler. Certain news organizations pump out quite a bit of news, and so my aggregator grabs that. And then I happen to just randomly find it as I go through the aggregation process. And I see what I see and think that it's interesting. Oh, so that's why this is so, okay. So Spotter was founded in early 2019 by Aaron Debevoise, I think it's pronounced, who formerly co-founded Machinima, or Machinima. It depends on your inflection or me speaking properly. Style Hall, 2 YouTube multi-channel networks, MCNs, that aggregated multiple creators under one roof. But buying a YouTuber's portfolio is kind of like the modern equivalent of buying a musician's library of their work. Think, somebody buying Metallica's library or Michael Jackson's library, and then in perpetuity generating revenue. It's literally like owning stock, and it's just pumping out dividends constantly. Excuse me, I'm a hiccup. Yeah, we're going to see, Rex Arcade says, we're going to see a lot more heavily corporate sponsored and produced content creators across every platform. Yes. And that's because TV is dying in the most natural sense. Everything that was typically TV is now moving to the side, and it's becoming episodic within channels on apps. Within whatever it is you're doing, you don't have a TV so much as you have something that vehicles from the creator to a computer that's on the internet and not a coaxial cable broadcast. To me, I've told other people, you see me here on Twitch. You're going to see me over on YouTube, but for me, TV has always been the internet. I stopped watching TV more than 15 years ago. Basically, when I started really getting into the internet, but I was on the internet when I was 10, before the DoD even opened it up to the public. I was able to utilize the internet when it had a small I. So I've been around the block, and now my TV is Twitch and YouTube, and Netflix, and app after app after app on Apple TV and on my phone, on my computer, etc. Yep. So this is basically somebody buying a portfolio, and then they're going to reap the rewards, while the creators that sold that will be able to go and do other things, bigger things, with their millions that they get now. And if you know about finance, money that you have now is worth more than money that you'll get later, because you can invest that money now and it'll generate more on its own. So to date, Spotter has inked deals with some of the biggest creators on YouTube, including, Mr. Beast, Dude Perfect. Let's see, Smoking and Grilling, I haven't even seen. I'll have to go and check that out. Anyway, if you have some extra cash, maybe you can do a smaller version of this. I'm always there to try and push people to be entrepreneurs. You should go and start up now, because in 10 years is really when your sale is going to catch. These guys already had gobs of money and connections. So they were bound to reap the rewards faster than a fresh person to business to enterprise. So this next article is in the Word and Tech channel. And Russian hackers have obtained sensitive defense information technology by targeting U.S. contractors, according to CISA. So CISA is the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Agency. It's basically U.S.'s cyber infrastructure monitoring organization. Yeah, so Mr. Beast, to me, he came out of nowhere, but I guess he had been around for a while. And he went viral because of so much good that he was doing. He's really engaging, and he's bombastic, and had a tight cluster of friends that supported him, and he wasn't shy about spending, like by giving, not just spending, getting back, but just giving. And all of that positivity ended up being a real boon for him. So there are others out there that are like that. And I really appreciate what they've done. I think it's amazing all the good that they have done for other people. So yeah, Mr. Beast is awesome. This article is over on The Verge, and it's by Corin Faith. And the state-sponsored actors acquired information on weapons, aircraft design, and combat communication systems over a period of years. And this is kind of one of the problems that I have with government contracting in general, and that is that it's somewhat like a farm crop. So you have a contract for 5 years. Somebody new has to be read in. There's new blood that gets brought in to support whatever agency needs that contract, whatever it might be. And there's always different ways of doing it. And it's really, it's supposed to be positive because nobody is getting favoritism, but the government is now highly balkanized, privatized. There's a lot of private industry that is supporting the enterprise, the government enterprise. But there's a rotation though. So all these people come in and come out. And it's actually one of the shows that I want to talk about. I actually have an idea for a show called Far Weekly, which is that right there, that talks about government contracting. Because there is a lot of misperception about what government contracting is and what it takes. And a lot of people think that, oh, well, it's just mismanagement, but it's not really mismanagement. Yes, there is some, but it comes within the confines of a business is only allowed to do what it is given the authority to do. And so in the private world, if somebody finds a problem with their enterprise, they fix it. But you can't necessarily do that when you're a contractor because you have an envelope of operation. And that's part of the bidding process. You say that they say, the government says, I want you to do this, and you offer it up as a price, and anything extraneous, you're not even supposed to do. And if you ask for more money or you do something that costs more money, you actually run afoul of the contracting rules and regulations because you are doing something you're not supposed to do or not told to do or not allowed to do, and you're asking for compensation for it. And so liability is actually a bigger problem. So it's a little bit more complex. But when you have hackers walking around inside your enterprise, and I've received several of the OPM notices about my information being acquired, leaked, you get a sense that we're more like a sieve than we are a solid defense against intrusion. But this too, like what I mentioned earlier about millions of dollars of compensation, that's going to come back in another article. And this is going to come back in another article because somebody makes a claim that this is how you beat the hacker. Well, hate to break it to you. That's not how it works. So this next article is again in the Word in Tech. Eventually it will be a show of its own. Fake cheating sites are the latest risk for remote students. Remote testing service HonorLock is using fake answer sites to tempt and catch students who try to cheat on online exams, according to a report by The Markup. So I'm going to click it and go over to the link. And it's written by Emma Roth. Online proctor services are tempting remote students with fake answer sites. And Rex Arcade says, this sucks. I think that is weird. It's kind of like entrapment. They call it honeypots. It's what's used in cybersecurity as well. In this particular case, it's used by a testing monitoring service called HonorLock. Many colleges use HonorLock, and basically what it does is it it monitors you. And it seems like it's something that I would see in a dystopian type of universe, right? Not trying to pick a fight or anything, but China uses this kind of technology where it's actually monitoring where students are looking and making sure that people are paying attention to either the professor or to whatever it tests. And it just sounds really dystopian. And I don't necessarily agree with it. I think people should be tested, but calling something honor lock is like referring to a prison as a freedom hotel. It just seems the antithesis of honor. But students, and I get this a lot because I say, eventually a person who cheats is going to get caught. But the refrain there is, well, then they're going to harm my college because they've got the degree, but they didn't meet the requirements for that degree because they cheated, but they just didn't get caught. But now they're out there in the world with our name on their degree, and it's demeaning the degree because they're getting caught for cheating or they're not good enough for the job, and et cetera, et cetera. But as professors, you're supposed to provide the means to learn, but a lot of them take it to the point where it's gatekeeping, as if it's their moral obligation to stamp out anybody that uses any other resource than their own mind. But in the 21st century, unless you're doing brain surgery, which has a whole other line of schooling, you always have somebody to lean on. You have the internet to look at. You have other resources to go and check out. So I'm really not into this honor lock thing. Kids are really struggling right now. Let's see. Rex Arcade says, kids are really struggling right now. They are not okay. Then some tries to pull a scam like this. There has to be a method to check for cheating and plagiarism. So yes, there are checks for plagiarism. For cheating, it's a little difficult because cheating comes in so many different veins. And that's why they use cameras and they lock down browsers and computers. There's a lot of different methods, right? But this is kind of like they're poisoning the well by offering up these sites. I don't agree with this because this basically poisons the well and prevents valid information from reaching people who are truly seeking information and not necessarily quote unquote cheating. But I don't really agree that looking for information to get the answers is cheating. I think it's a little more subtle than that. This next article is over in the Word in Tech. It's a kind of tech heavy day today. And I agree. Yes, it's taking advantage of desperate and anxiety ridden youth. But you'd be surprised. Youth is somewhat subjective. A lot of college students cheat because they've got a lot of expense that they have to capitalize on. If they get caught cheating or they fail their classes because they're not doing the work or whatever, there's a lot of context that's missing from it. You eventually end up, seeking a solution. It might be coined cheating, but it depends on who it is that's looking at that, If you had seen the previous episode about this, there is a Hummer EV and its battery is heavier than a Honda Civic. Yes. 2,923 pounds is the weight of the Hummer EV's battery. And this thing is a beast. So the GMC Hummer EV clocks in at an eye-watering 9,000 pounds. And there was something else that I read. I think it was that it has 1,000 horsepower. I think that's what it was. Let's see. According to GM's test data, the Hummer EV will go 329 miles on a single charge with 2.12.7 kilowatt hours of usable energy in the battery, and it will consume energy at 47 miles per gallon. This thing is a beast. And it's really interesting because I mentioned Rivian in the last episode where I talked about the Hummer. Yeah, this thing, and I even talked about the F-150 Lightning when I talked about this in the last episode. This thing, I love the styling of it. It just kind of, it hits all of my cylinders. I really like it. This article, by the way, is over at The Verge, and it's written by Andrew J. Hawkins. You should go and check it out. And it has a nice picture. I said it last time, and I'll say it again. This looks like it's CG, but you never know. Maybe they have some really good camera work, but it really looks like it's CG. But I want this vehicle, but no, it won't fit in my garage and still allow my wife's car in it. So, and she always wins. So actually, she'd probably go, yeah, sure, park it in the garage. I don't care. I could park this thing on her car. Okay, let's move on. I'm getting stuck in this. Now I want an EV Hummer. My God. So this next article is Tabletop Nights. And that's the channel that it's in. And let me post it. This is about Star Wars: The Old Republic's Legacy of the Sith, which launched a cinematic trailer. EA and BioWare released a new cinematic trailer to mark the launch of MMORPG Star Wars: The Old Republic's Legacy of the Sith expansion. It's 6 minutes long. I'm not going to watch the whole video. I encourage everybody to go over to the site where this is sourced from, because that's what this show is really about, is to stimulate discussion, promote the people who are gathering the information. Obviously, I want you to come back to ohmTown and talk about it. Come back to ohmTown here on Twitch and to YouTube and the podcast, etc. Because I'm talking about it, but they're the ones that put all of this together, and I don't take anything from it. I grab a little snippet, but then I'm promoting the channel or the website. So go over to rpgamer.com and, wait, Rex Arcade says, I can't with Star Wars. It's worse than politics now. Oh, really? That's interesting. Why is that? The 6-minute video produced by ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, shows Jedi Master Denolm Orr and his Padawan Sahar Katin on a mission to the Temple of Null on Elam to retrieve a special holocron. Well, that's just sucked me in already. Yeah, I'm kind of like that too, but I'll talk about anything. What I do for a living is essentially consulting. And so I learn as much as I can about a lot of things, and then I talk about it and try to give additional context and divergent perspectives, simply because if you operate in an echo chamber, all you hear is yourself, is that same refrain, whatever it is that you're thinking. And I like to rock the boat so that we can have a different perspective on things, but not a alternative facts kind of thing. It's always what should be the truth. Yeah. So go over to this article. It's written by Alex Fuller on rpgamer.com, which is a great source for RPG or role-playing game news in all veins. They've got all kinds of stuff, so it's a lot of fun to read their articles. But definitely watch that video. I'm going to be doing it later. So this next article is about RPG Maker Unite. So yesterday, I had caught wind of RPG Maker Unite being launched. But now this is another article where they are making it more known. They're announcing it publicly. It's available to wishlist now on Steam. This thing is great. If you are interested in making your own games, this now uses Unity. So you click the link and it'll take you over to RP Gamer again. So Gotcha Games, a subsidiary of Kadokawa Games, established in 2020 to oversee the franchise, has announced a new entry in the RPG Maker Creation Suite series, RPG Maker Unite. And it's using Unity. So that kind of uplifts the level of graphics from the previous iteration. And let's see. Rex Arcade says, yep, that means we can RPG that are also Metrovanias. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you can make them like Metro or Castlevania. The thing about tools like this is it can turn you from someone who wants to do something into someone who is going to do something. You have a story in your head and it's just a little inkling of an idea. And then you get a tool like this and you turn it into something and you give it to your friends. Somebody else catches wind of it and says, I really love this idea. And then you build on top of it. And if you do this when you're younger, when you're in high school, let's say, you start there and you turn something that is just this little egg of an idea. And then suddenly it's a phoenix and burning bright and everybody loves it, but you got to do it. You got to try it. You got to see what happens. It stimulates your creativity. It allows you to write. It allows you to make connections, social network. It's not just a tool in a vacuum. This is something that I'm going to be gifting to people. So I'm waiting for it to come out so I know exactly what all is involved, but I don't want to commit something to somebody and they're like, I have no idea. But I love this. So I'm going to be getting this when it launches. It hasn't formally been released, I don't think. I haven't gone over to Steam yet because I want to just wait and see what happens. But I can wish list it now, apparently. This next article, and this is what I was talking about earlier, is these. Okay. Code Foundation is a channel that talks about programming, software engineering. And the article is titled, Win Your War Against Hackers and Secure Your Network. Now, it has a quote from Kevin Mitnick, which is coined as American businessman, but he's a hacker, like old school original hacker. And it says, work culture has changed a lot recently. The ability to work from anywhere and anytime has become comfortable for employees, which in turn has brightened up things for hackers too. So let's click this link. I have to post this in my chat. And so I'm just going to preface this with, you cannot win a war against hackers and quote unquote, secure your network. The only secure network is a computer that's unplugged sitting in your closet. That's the only secure device. And even then, you could put it in a second story in your house and I could climb up the wall, break into a window and steal your computer and I have your data. The only thing you can do is guard. Hypervigilance, always aware, No open doors. Have a hardware firewall, have a software firewall on your computer, a hardware firewall on the edge of your network. You have to be exactly, Rex Arcade says, responsible computer use. I have the saying, click with care. That's what I tell children. That's what I tell business people. Be careful of what you click on. Be aware, situationally aware, both on your computer and in the real world. Somebody can be looking at you typing in your password and it's reflected off of your glasses. Somebody can ride on your coattails through a door that's supposed to be closed behind you. And because you're a nice person, you let them in. But once I'm in, all I have to do is plug something into a network port and I've got access. You know, I can drop a terminal anywhere. Worse than that is I can put in a power strip in your enterprise and it's scanning your network. And it's just sitting there listening all the time. You can't say win your war against hackers and secure your network. You can do responsible things and be aware, but you build a better mousetrap and you get better mice showing up at your doorstep. You want to know some of the tools that people use. Let's see. Let me see if I can do this real quick. Yeah, go to hack5.org. I'll just say that. HAK5.org. And you'll see some of the tools that some pen testers use. And those are the retail publicly accessible tools that some people use. When you get really into enterprise pen testing, it's not the stuff that you're getting off of Hack5. It's homebrew, in-house stuff that's built. Because you don't want somebody else detecting it. Okay, so I'm going to have to hustle. This next article is in Smack Talk. Again, we talk about Mac and its competitors. Apple shareholder group urges a no vote on CEO Tim Cook's $99 million pay package. You know, it's a multi-billion-dollar organization. He deserves $99 million in compensation, right? Right? In a time when we have 7.5% inflation and the people that are earning at the bottom of the barrel are something like 4,000% less than the top. Not necessarily at Apple, but $99 million. So I'm going to click the link, take you over there. So Mike Peterson is the author of this over on Apple Insider. And it says an Apple investor advisory group is recommending that shareholders shoot down CEO Tim Cook's proposed $99 million compensation package, citing significant concern. Throughout 2021, Cook was awarded stock worth $82 million. The executive's pay package also includes $630,000 in personal security costs. Oh my God. Well, I mean, he's in charge of a multi-billion-dollar organization. So, of course, $1 million in personal security is going to amount to some high-quality personal security. And then a $1 million in private jet costs. And that's for 2021. Wow. Yeah, when you're this big, you've got a lot of people that are looking for you. I've got friends that are in politics, and one person, when he first got started in politics, said he ran for an uncompensated volunteer position and received death threats. Him and his family received death threats. People knocking on his door, people setting off car alarms, harassment as he was running for office, and then in the beginning as he was in office. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. So just imagine if you're in charge of a multi-billion-dollar company that not only, and then has these hot takes about, people in the company and perspectives about law enforcement and such. Yeah, it's a rough world out there, particularly when you have that amount of money and influence. So this is probably going to be a really short one, but I thought it was too interesting to pass up. This is in Law Nerd, a show about law that will eventually have a co-host that's in the field of law. I just work with attorneys quite often, and I'm going through a program, but I'm not an attorney. Trump confesses to false financials, but says no one should trust him anyway. This is the former president of the United States, right? It isn't another Trump. So I haven't read the article, and that's one of the joys of this show is you just, you don't know what this next click is going to bring you. Okay. So I posted it in chat, and I'm going to go over there, and let's hope that it's somebody other than, oh no, it's Donald Trump. He says the quiet things out loud. Donald Trump did what he does best. He confessed to exactly what they're investigating. God. No doubt the Attorney General is very impressed. This is an article over on AboveTheLaw.com, which is a great source for legal related news. Sometimes their articles are a bit snarky, but this article is written by Liz Dye. And go over there and read it, and you'll get a kick out of this article, I'm sure. I can't even continue because I know the tenor of this is going to be something that I just can't finish it because I'll be laughing for the next 45 minutes. Okay, so this next article also harkens back to a previous thing that I've spoken about, which is abuse happens in the dark. This has happened with government agencies, with police, with businesses. It basically happens when somebody has power and authority and access combined. Health providers snoop through medical files of potential dates. Chief data scientist at SecureLink discusses a disturbing phenomenon. Medical professionals sifting through patient records to find information on potential dates. So click the link. And this article is written by Emma Barden over at medcitynews.com. I won't go into great detail about this, but I'll give you additional context, right? So I've read about this happening at the police level. FBI has done it. Local companies do it. I started up a business that stopped spam before it ever left the spammer's server. It blocked 100% of undesired mail. Nobody wanted to pay for it. You take care, Rex Arcade. Thanks for coming by. I really appreciate it. And one of the things that I said to people that were supporting the enterprise was, if I ever catch you in a log, you're fired. End of discussion. Nobody accesses a log because mail is unencrypted. From point to point, mail is unencrypted. Within the enterprise, it's encrypted, but when it's sent from one place to another, it's unencrypted. Because you'd have to have keys shared between everybody so that they could transfer in a secure fashion. But if everybody has a key, the only thing you're really stopping is, the in motion data, which is fine, but it's very complex to do this. Well, anyway, when people have the ability to mine for their own benefit, they tend to do it for whatever reason. They're not happy just letting it go. But it's the creepiest thing. If it is medical professionals, it's a HIPAA violation. You should not be allowed, capable of sifting through anything of anyone's data. It should all be logged, and every time you access a computer on wheels, it's called a cow. If you are caught, you should be fired right there on the spot. End of discussion. So this next article is in the Mobile Channel. And a New Jersey governor deeply disturbed by video showing black teen handcuffed and pinned by police. I haven't seen this yet, but I'm going to click the link. I put it in chat. And yep, it is what I thought. Okay, so I saw this video earlier on a different site. It happens to be picked up by The Hill. And let's see if I can find who Brad Dress is the author of the article that's associated with it. But what this video shows basically are two police officers that go to break up a fight, and one person is a black teen and the other is a Latino teen, and they pin the black teen to the ground, and the female officer of the two presses her knee on the black teen's neck. Something that we have been talking about in various circles, trying to stop, because it does damage. It's an inordinate amount of pressure in a place that cannot survive a lot of leverage. I'll put it to you that way. So they arrest him, cuff him, and the Latino teen is just standing there, actually takes a step towards the officers and the arrested teen laying face down on the ground. And it's a white female officer, just sets the teen down, apparently. Wow. Because my video was cut off before I saw that part of it. Fascinating. So, I mean, is it racism? Not if it was in a vacuum, and maybe they perceived, this black teen as being the bad guy. Or, yes, it's institutionalized racism. You don't go after one when you don't know the facts. You go after both, treat them the same, and then sift through the mess by questioning. Right? Everybody is supposed to be equal in this. They were both fighting. So this isn't a playground where somebody was sitting there watching and then they said, well, that's the person over there that did it. Well, hate to break it to you, even on the playground, both people are expelled. Both people get in trouble. There's a zero tolerance policy. This looks like zero tolerance was leveraged only against the black teen. But we'll see how this shakes out, because the time will tell. WPIX spoke to a 15-year-old boy, Joey, who was involved in the fight. He said he was surprised he was not detained and even offered to get handcuffed. I knew it was wrong, and I knew there was going to be problems when they did that. They didn't go for me. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Okay, so I'm going to hurry up with the rest of these because I'm running late and I want to keep it all down to about an hour of time. But you are more than welcome to stop by ohmTown tomorrow at 6 o'clock. I'll finish this, but speed up a little bit. Okay, Mayor Watt, come on. This is an article in The Word in Tech. Twitter's now letting developers add labels to bot accounts. I think that is fantastic. There are sites that have been using bots, but not announcing it. I think it kind of it creates an environment where you don't know what to trust. And while it can be detected later, it seems a little odd. In September, Twitter launched an experiment of labels for automated, aka bot accounts, to make it easier to know when an account was running on its own. That experiment has apparently proved to be a success. That's awesome. Great. And there's the article written by Jay Peters over on The Verge. I want to give credit where credit is due. This next article is over in the Smack Talk channel. Apple TV Plus to debut new original film, 4 new series at South by Southwest Film Festival. So let's see. The films are set to make their premiere at the 2022 South by Southwest Film Festival in March, including Cha Cha Real Smooth, The Big Con, Conn. Cupertino Giant will debut 4 new series and a new original film at South by Southwest. So click this link and go over there. Mike Peterson is the author. I don't know if they write about the rest of them. We Crashed. They Call Me Magic. Shining Girls. Oh, a WeWork based limited series. Okay. Called We Crashed. And McMillions, a 4-part documentary series, will be released alongside the companion podcast. So, some more content coming out of Apple TV, and that will undoubtedly continue. I'm hoping that Dune's second part comes out quick. This next article is over in Warcrafters. No Man's Sky overhauls combat, adds a massive flame-throwing sentinel. I keep trying to play No Man's Sky, but it's just massive, and I don't have enough time to dedicate. But apparently it's an 8 gigabyte update. So a lot of stuff is getting changed around. So go and check it out. It's from Hello Games. Click the link. This article comes from PCGamer.com. It's written by Christopher Livingston. And I'll just reiterate that they have this great feature where you can click on a play button and you can listen to the article. You might dig it. New weapons, new graphics, new Sentinel, tons of content, I'm sure, that people didn't even find out about yet. There's a big change log that you can go and review, but go over to PC Gamer and read this article and then come back and talk to me. The next article is over on the Warcrafters channel. Sorry, Relogic's testing of Terraria 2 isn't testing. It's actually just good fun banter with fans. Yeah, I guess they're not going to launch Terraria 2, which is a bummer. I really like Terraria. I would love it to be bigger and MMO-like. That would be great. So Andy Chalk over at PC Gamer did an article about it. Terraria Andrew Redigit Spinks appeared to be teasing a new Terraria game, but it turns out he's just playing around. That would be great, though. Terraria 2 was announced way back in 2013, although the creator Andrew Redigit Spinks warned at the time that it was still a ways out. He really wasn't kidding. Well, they stopped development of Terraria, but I can't imagine that Terraria 2 would really be a thing. I think I can imagine that they've got even like bigger, more grandiose ideas that could be built off of that same engine. And there's newer technology, so I'm sure, maybe it'll be called something similar, but not Terraria 2. But good on them. I'm glad that they're still talking about developing. This next article is in Code Foundation. This is kind of a little bit more straight-laced commentary. I encourage people to get into programming, particularly Java and Python, both of which are used across the board in pretty much every industry. Python in particular is great for things like cybersecurity and data data mining, big data as it's called. You really can't go wrong learning Python. And the same thing with Java. It's kind of It's not the easiest to understand, pardon me, but it has entry level capabilities. So you can start really small and get a basic understanding of Java and keep on building on top of it. This particular article is about polymorphism, encapsulation, data abstraction, and inheritance in object-oriented programming, and speaks specifically to Java and Python. Both of these programming languages, by the way, are the number 1 and 2 in terms of job acquisition. So if you're looking for a job and you are interested in programming, those are the 2 languages that are in highest demand. And then it just all fractures from that point on all the way down. I know people that program in assembly, and they're making easily 6 digits, in the $300,000. But they've been doing it for 25 years, or longer, 30 years. But you have to know what you're doing, and that means learning. So go back to school, go to YouTube, go to Udemy. Go wherever you can to find a reliable provider of programming skill development. And there's stuff beyond what I just said. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot out there. So this article is written by Nick Flewitt, and it goes into detail about what inheritance and encapsulation and so on is. But I am going to kind of plow through that article. This next article is also in Code Foundation, and harkens back to close to 20 years, I'd say. Maybe, no, I'm sorry. About 12 years ago, I was first introduced to Apache Cassandra. I actually used it in a solution that I built that was a search engine and crawler. And this is a great NoSQL database. It's fast, it's reliable, highly scalable. You can't go wrong really, but obviously there's gives and takes, right? So you'll have to hunt for your support. So it doesn't come easy really. You'll have to search for solutions when you run into problems, but you definitely can find solutions. And this article is over on dzone.com. So was the last one. And this article is written by David Jones Gilardi. Ta-da. So, wow, the annual size of the global data sphere. That's neat. So go over to dzone, click that link. You'll find it on the ohmTown.com site. You'll find it on YouTube. You'll find it on the Apple podcasts description for this particular episode. It won't be there for quite some time as I'm uploading new ones almost daily now. But we'll get this all into a rhythm, and you'll get it the next day, or at least maybe a day after, since this is going to be a daily show every day here on Twitch from 6 p.m. to 7 plus. Obviously, we're almost at 7:30. And if you are sitting in my chat, I really appreciate you hanging out with me. Thank you very much. If you have any comments or concerns, you can always throw something in chat. The stream's chat is always open on my desktop. So even if I'm not here, you can leave me a message. Try not to send me nasty grams, but I'll take them. What can I say? I'm a streamer. Okay. Thank you all for coming. I will see you tomorrow.